India is gearing up for its fourth Indo-U.S. strategic dialogue at the end of June. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry will visit the country for the first time as America's top diplomat. And joining us now with his insight is Ravi Venkatesan, former chairman of Microsoft India and Cummins India, and a member of the Infosys board. He's also the author of the book, Conquering the Chaos, Win in India, Win Everywhere. Ravi, thanks for joining us.
Hello, Michelle.
Let's start off with Secretary of State John Kerry's visit to India. One of the big topics on the agenda is immigration reform. It's a bit of a contentious topic for India. Why?
Well, the big issue is that it promises to be a giant disruption to the business model in the IT industry, the whole outsourcing model. And if some of the provisions actually go through into legislation, then it's going to be a huge challenge for not only the Indian IT companies, but also for their customers.
But what are the details here? Explain what's going on with regards to the H-1B visa and the quotas for Indian companies doing business in the U.S.
Well, in particular, there's a proposed provision called 50-50, which says companies that have more than 50 employees, so mid-sized and large ones, would have to have more than half their workforce who are either U.S. citizens or green card holders, etc. And so that would restrict the use of H-1B visas. And that dramatically reduces the flexibility of the outsourcing companies.
So Indian companies based in the U.S. will not be able to hire as many Indian employees to work in the U.S.
They will have to hire many more U.S. nationals and green card holders. And obviously that means that their costs will go up quite dramatically, which means that the cost of their customers will go up as well. And in addition, if all the things carry through, the onus of compliance is as much on the customers. And so it may introduce a huge amount of bureaucracy, which will be problematic.
Well, the U.S. government is obviously doing this to promote more employment in the U.S., right?
That would appear so.
So is there any chance that this would be resolved through this current meeting of John Kerry's?
Well, I hope so. I hope some of the more draconian elements are removed. But I believe that at least some of the companies will see in this crisis an opportunity to move up the value chain, change their business model from renting IQ to creating intellectual property. And eventually, they're going to end up being much, much stronger companies.
Well, let's change our focus from Indian companies in the U.S. to multinationals in India.
Terrific.
And in your recent book, Conquering the Chaos, Win in India, Win Everywhere, you stress that for multinationals doing business in India, it's almost like a litmus test, if you will, for their potential success in other emerging markets. Why do you say that?
See, in the last 3 or 4 years, people have got really concerned about what's happening in India. The economy has slowed down. It's getting more and more bureaucratic, lots of tax hassles, corruption, crony capitalism, bad infrastructure, you name it. So a lot of companies are beginning to say, hey, let me go where it's easier. Let me go to Nigeria, let me go to Indonesia, Myanmar, and flee the chaos. I point out in this book, very contrarian, I take a contrarian point of view, which says, you know what? Chaos is not true of just India. It's a defining feature of all emerging markets.
But are people seeing it as just true of India?
I think they're assuming that they can go to some other countries in Africa and Southeast Asia, etc., which will be easier. But I don't think they will find that it is necessarily the case. So at least India has a huge market, a lot of talent, etc. So my point of view is learn to deal with chaos and thrive on chaos in this market, and the capabilities it'll build, the mindset it'll build, will serve you well in many other markets. If you are unable to handle it in India, the chances are you're going to find it tough going elsewhere.
You can make it there, you can make it anywhere, right?
Exactly.
I've heard that about somewhere before.
Indeed.
Now, you mentioned that a couple of companies have in fact made it there and done so most successfully, such as Volvo, Nokia, to name some, Samsung, Cummins. What's been their key to the success in India?
I think there are two keys to really successful companies. One is they're all in. They basically decide that India has a population of 1.2 billion people. It's going to be one of the largest economies in the world. We better be a leader there. It may take much longer than we like, so they don't dither. So and what that means is they're willing to make investments in localizing product, distribution, et cetera, take a long-term view. Other companies stick their toe in the water and say, we'll be back when India resembles a developed market. When I remember a CEO of a food company saying, when more Indians start eating meat, that's when we'll jump in.
Good luck with that, considering
Right.
that cow is wholly in India.